Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, everybody, this is Alex and this is the Ramble, and we go until midnight tonight in the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Larry Bubbles Brown.
Yes, Alex, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Mr. Brown?
Good. I was reading the San Jose Mercury the other day, which I like because they've got a great obituary
Oh, really?
page. Yeah, which you don't see much anymore. And one of the things I like to do is I always like to find out people that died that were younger than me.
Well, that's the reason.
Which is a lot now.
Well, that's the reason why I always looked at the what do you call it, at the obituaries. Excuse me, I'm a little out of it today because 8,000 things are going on here. But anyway, no, I always read the obituaries to make sure people died who were younger than I was. But
yeah,
you know. Or older than younger than I was, yeah. But the fact is that now at my age, I'm watching the obituaries to feel glad that I didn't die. Okay,
yeah.
You know, who was it? I think it was Carl Reiner, who said that every morning he would get up and read the obituaries, and if his name wasn't there, he went on with his day.
Good way to do it.
You know. But so you look at it to see people who are younger than you?
Yeah. I mean, 10 years ago would be. Now it's not now it's kind of you see a lot of them, but
yeah.
Then I went home and I found my old almanac, and I started looking at actors that these people that accomplished a lot that were much younger than you or I. So like Peter Lorre died at 60.
Really?
Yeah.
He always looked like he was in his 80s, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when we say Peter Lorre, let me preface that by saying Peter Lorre was an actor who was in movies. Okay, and the reason the reason I'm saying that is the people we're talking to right now probably don't remember Peter Lorre. Would you say that's...
Probably not, no.
You know, I think I could go out there, and if I were in an average audience, this is an older audience that I tend to get, but in a normal audience, and I mention the Beatles, and say to somebody, name all of them, they couldn't. You know, usually they miss George. Oddly enough.
The forgotten Beatle.
But I mean, it's just that we assume that people know when we say Peter Lorre who Peter Lorre is. And the fact is that Peter Lorre, unless people watch old movies, which nobody does anymore, right? Because there are no car crashes and no beat-em-up fights, you know, and so on. But if you watch Casablanca, you know who Peter Lorre is. You know, if you watch The Maltese Falcon, you know who Peter Lorre is. But if you don't watch those films, which is most people, because they're in black and white, forget it. They don't know who they are. You know. But Peter Lorre was 60. God. I would have thought he was much older than that.
Best known for Maltese Falcon, I would guess.
Yeah, lesser known for Casablanca because his part is smaller in Casablanca. But do you know that the Maltese Falcon was made 2 times before the one you know?
I did not.
Yes, it was made in 1930, starring Ricardo Cortez as Sam Spade. And it was pretty much the same story. Okay, not a bad movie, I might add.
Really?
Yeah. But then they remade it in 1936 with Bette Davis called Satan Met a Lady. And it's the same plot, except instead of a Sidney Greenstreet male character, it was a female. And they were going after, I think it wasn't the Maltese Falcon, it was called something else. But it is based on Dashiell Hammett's novel, The Maltese Falcon. So it was made then. And then they made it in like 1940 or 41 with Bogart and John Huston directing it. And that's the one that became famous. But they made it, within 10 years, they made it 3 times.
Jesus, until I got it right.
Well, that was not unusual in the early days of films because movie companies owned rights to properties, right? And they had to make, you know how many movies they made a year, a studio? They had to make to fill the theaters. 52 films a year.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know if that included the short films, you know, the companion features, you know, that were really short. Like, you know, if you watch Turner Classic Movies, you'll be surprised at the number of films there are that are under 75 minutes. You know, there are some films that are like 59 minutes.
Really? Well,
yeah.
Woody Allen's run pretty short, and Hitchcock.
Yeah, but they ran short, but they ran about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. That you're right there, but they weren't that short. They weren't under an hour, for instance. So TCM every now and then will spend a day running films that were, you know, under an hour and 10 minutes or something like that. And they run like a ton of films, you know, almost 24 films in a day. But they had those films, and some of them were some of them weren't companion features. Some of them were actual features. But anyway, anything else you found in your almanac?
Yes, let's see. John Candy died at 43.
Wow. Yeah, well, that I believe because I remember he was a fairly young man. You know, but grossly overweight and literally asking for it.
Well, his father and brother also died of a heart attack at the same age. So
at the same exact age, and were they heavy?
They all died at 40. Yes, that's a very strong genetic feeling there.
Yeah, but were they heavy? That's the question.
That I don't know.
Yeah. But wow, 43. Okay, what else you got there?
Steve McQueen died at 50.
Yes, he died of what was it?
He had some gigantic tumor around his stomach. And remember, he went down to Mexico.
He went down to Mexico,
trying to experimental treatments and everything.
Yeah, that probably killed him more than the actual disease.
Probably did him in, but he was a huge actor in the 70s.
You would imagine if you have that kind of money, okay, which I'm sure Steve McQueen was not poor. If you have that much money, that you should be able to get the best doctors available and somehow get answers to tumors and things like that. But he went to Mexico. Who else went? Didn't Andy Kaufman do the same thing? Didn't he go to some quacks?
Andy Kaufman was 34. He died in 84. Yeah, he went. I guess that movie, didn't he go to the Philippines?
I think so. Yeah, and there was some fake faith healers there, that he went and tried. But
now he used to show up. I didn't know this. I was a new comic then, but they said right before he died, he kept showing up at the other cafe in San Francisco and would he'd just look around. They asked him if he wanted to go on, and he said no.
The story I get was from Monty Hoffman, who was also dead. How old was Monty when he died? Do you know?
Well, Monty was born in 51 and died about 10 years ago. So
yeah, well,
probably mid-60s.
Anyway, Monty told me the story about how he was outside the other cafe, and there was, Andy Kaufman. And he went up to Andy and he said, "Hi, Andy, how are you doing?" And Andy said, "I'm dying."
Wow, really?
Yeah. He said, "I'm dying." And Monty was taken aback by that, and he said, well, is it bad? He says, yeah, it's terrible. He said, but you know what the worst part about it is? He said, what? He said, nobody believes me. Which I can understand because, Andy was always known for doing massive put-ons.
Yeah, and there's always rumors that he's going to pop up someday.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, to me, that was tragic because nobody did believe him. And he went on and, he died. I can't remember what he died of. But it was I think maybe a cancer of some sort. We've had, comedians either live to be really old
or really young.
I always bring up Bill Hicks, who the last time I saw Bill Hicks was in the green room at the Punchline. And I sat down with him because I knew Bill, and I liked Bill, and Bill liked me, and, we had a good rapport with each other. And I said to him, so how you doing? And he said, this is my last performance. I said, what do you mean? He says, I'm giving up comedy. I said, you're giving up comedy? Because that would seem ridiculous to me. This is a guy who was maybe one of the best up-and-coming comics of the time. And he said, yeah, I'm just going to go back and live in Texas. But he didn't say he was dying. But that's what it was all about.
Wow.
He knew he had pancreatic cancer, and there's basically very little cures for pancreatic cancer. My wife underwent pancreatic cancer operation that did make it go away, but then she got cancer elsewhere, He had pancreatic cancer, and he knew that there was nothing he could do about it. Basically, with pancreatic cancer, the doctors say, go home and make peace with the world because you're going to be dead in 6 months.
Yeah, he was 33.
He was 33, and I really, that's a loss that I mourned, Number one, he was a nice guy. He was one of the good guys. And he was one of the rare genius comics, Not that you aren't in that group, by the way. I don't want to insult you by not implying that you aren't one of the geniuses. But I think
look at Mitch Hedberg. I think 36.
I didn't know of Mitch Hedberg. How old was he?
He was about 36 when he died.
But by the way, folks, if you're just tuning in, isn't this another wonderful session with Bubs? Isn't this life affirming?
Next time we can read from a black book.
We used to bring that in to this show.
Yeah. Remember, we get the other comics to play the co-pilot, and we'd read them.
Yeah, but they all. I remember that there was this book called The Black Box, and it was black box conversations just before a plane crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and every one of them, they were transcripts, ended with sound of impact.
Sound of impact.
Do you remember any of them? Do you remember one that stands out?
I remember these guys, it wasn't a big commercial plane, but they were flying around Texas, and it was bad weather, and they were lost, and one guy's looking at a map, and he goes, there's a mountain around here about 4,500 feet, and he asks, what's our altitude? The guy goes, 45, hun, sound of impact.
I don't want to laugh. I mean, those people are dead.
No, it's horrible.
They have families that cared about them, but, come on.
Gee, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. But I remember you came in with that. That was your big deal.
Yeah.
But now you've got your almanac.
Now I got my Paul Lynde, 56.
Really?
Yeah.
Again, I would think, that he would have been older than that.
Yeah, I think these guys have been a lot older, and I'm shocked when I see how young they were.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, we have people who died when they were really old. Those are the ones I'd like to hear about, you know. But we just lost, when this was recorded, we lost Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens.
He was 70.
Yeah. I remember the best line he ever had anywhere was after that whole arrest down in Florida for jerking off in the porn theater. He went to the MTV Awards and came on and said, "Anybody heard any good jokes lately?" He was, I think, singularly brilliant again, you know, and I don't throw that term around too often. But didn't you think, weren't you appreciative of him and what he was doing?
Yeah, I remember going to see the movie he did was hilarious.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That was Tim Burton's first big film.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it was, I thought it was wonderful.
It was hilarious, yeah.
Well, the thing was, and I say to Marjorie, we should watch some Pee-wee's Playhouse, because you can find them various places, right? Mm-hmm. And she said, "No, I don't want to watch it." And I went, you know, you're really denying yourself a pleasure here, because this was a show that was made on two levels. A, it was made for kids, because it was on Saturday mornings. But the other level is it was made for adults. And that's what was so wonderful about it. And every adult I knew watched that thing on Saturday mornings. You know, so I really appreciated him for what he created. That all started as a theater exercise at the Groundlings down in L.A. And he was part of the Groundlings. And then he took this character and just put him on TV and everything else, and became very successful with it. So I really appreciated the guy. You know, sad to see him go. But he was
70.
70.
That old?
70. No, that's to me that's not that old. You know, to you, how old are you now?
Just over that, so 71.
71. So you know, you figure you're on borrowed time now.
I do, yeah.
Well, borrowed time actually is, I think, anything over what, 77 or 76. What is it now for males? Males go earlier.
77 or 78.
Yeah, 77 or 78. And what is it for women? Do you know?
80.
80. And the reason guys die younger is because the women nag them to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now that's a sexist joke, and I will stand by it. Okay. But you know, so I mean, it's sad that these people go so early, because they at least should be able to live the fruits of their labors. In other words, they get to be older, got a lot of money, go have a good time. You know, they never had time for that. No. You know, they never had time to retire. I think that's probably the term we should use here. But let's go back to the almanac. Who else do we have?
Okay, we've got...
And this time, say the name, but let me guess the year. Okay?
Okay, let me see.
Yeah?
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was somewhere in the area of 35?
33.
Okay, so I was close enough.
You're very close.
Yeah. A lot of people think he was murdered.
Yeah, that was one of those weird... There's so many people get murdered on movie sets, right?
Well, he didn't die on a movie set. He just died. It was of a
maybe his son died in a movie.
Does it say what he died of there?
It does. It just got the year. He died in 73.
Does it say what he died of?
No.
Hold on a second. Echo, what did Bruce Lee die of?
Bruce Lee died on July 20th, 1973, from swelling of the brain caused by a reaction to prescription medication.
Oh, it says a brain swelling caused by prescription medications.
Oh,
Does that sound suspicious?
that sounds very suspicious.
Yeah, they say it might have been the triads. You know, who knows? But again, a guy who was having a fairly interesting career. I mean, he pretty much created the whole martial arts end of movies. You know, and everybody since then has tried to imitate him. So it's it's amazing what he did. Who else you got in there? Who else you got in the book? Let me guess the age.
Okay, very. Peter Lawford.
Peter Lawford. I'm going to guess maybe 63.
61. You're very good.
Yeah. Okay.
That's young, though, isn't it? I mean,
yeah. I mean, there was no reason for him to go, but you know, a lot of these guys in that time, they smoked, they drank. You know, they did all those
big
things.
boozers and smokers, yeah.
Well, you know,
sure.
I watch movies today that are, you know, from, you know, the 50s, and everybody's got a cigarette in their mouth. And I'm going, no wonder these guys died young.
Yeah, Humphrey Bogart, 57.
Humphrey Bogart.
Always smoking in the movies.
Always smoking in the movies, and I don't think it was always smoking in the movies because it was part of the character. You know, sometimes you smoke because it's the character. But, I mean, I can't imagine how many people were killing themselves. I can't imagine that I was killing myself with smoking. You know? Luckily,
I never saw you smoke.
Luckily, I stopped in time. I stopped when I went to the quake. And some guy came in one morning and said his bit was you should stop smoking, and they said, well, let's give you a test to see if you have any of your breathing hampered at all by smoking. And so I took the test, and yes, my breathing was hampered by smoking. And I went home that day and I said, today's the day I quit. And I went out and I remember there was a thing called Bantron. There were these pills you could take that were nicotine replacement for your system. And I took those for a couple of days, and I said, I always say to people to do this if they want to quit smoking. Don't say you're going to quit smoking, or don't say you're going to quit something. You're just going to see how long you can go without doing it. Okay? Because if you say you're quitting, you set a bar that you have to hurdle. Whereas you say, I'm just stopping, and I'm going to see how long I can stop. You're giving yourself a little, you know, goal, as it were. And I did that, and I quit. I completely stopped. Stopped when I was at the quake. Were you were on with me at the quake, weren't you?
Yeah.
And you didn't ever see me smoke there?
No.
Oh, okay, because I always had a cigarette in my hand.
But that was just at the end of the quake when I first came on.
Tell you, years later, I went to a urologist, and he said, well, you might have, he says, did you smoke cigarettes? And I said, yes, I smoked for 20 years, but I quit about 25 years ago. And he said, well, we still got to check you for what do you call it? Bladder cancer.
Bladder cancer, yeah.
Well, he was trying to pad the bill. And I said, why? I said, I quit smoking. He said, well, you know, you smoked 2 packs a day, so that's 40 pack years. And I said, so I might still have cancer from that, even though it's 25 years later? And he says, yeah. I said, then there was no reason for me to quit, right? And he had no answer for that one. But, you know. God, I enjoyed smoking. It was such a prop, you know. Did you ever smoke? No.
No, because my parents were chain smokers, so I hated I couldn't stand the smell of smoke, so I never did it myself.
Did they die of cancer, of lung cancer or something? Or?
No.
What did they go of?
Just like what was it? Bad arteries and things like that.
Yeah. Were they older?
But that which is caused by smoking. So.
Were they older?
Oh yeah, they're in their mid to late 80s.
Oh wow! And they smoked? They chain smoked?
They finally quit in their 60s, I think, but it was a lot. But
Well, I'm thinking now, at this age, I could go any day now. I ought to go back to smoking, or at least trying heroin. Anyway, we've run out of time here, Larry. Once again, another wonderful get-together with the likes of Larry Bubbles Brown. We'll see you next time, Larry.
see you next week.
Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
That was Larry. Yeah, okay, turn on the mic, Alex. Yeah, turn on the mic. I got myself a new mic today. Well, it's over there. I might plug it in later and ask you what you think. It's not any better than this mic, but it's a little more bottom to it. It's kind of has a nice bottom to it, but we'll see how it works out. I don't care. I'll just keep buying microphones till I get one that suits me. This one is getting kind of old here. This thing, and I'm getting a whole stand that comes out and hangs here, and then I can push it out of the way, and so on. So, just improving GabNet about the time it probably should be put to sleep. But anyway, hello to all of you, and let's see. We have 2 people waiting to come on here, so I may as well admit them and let them start yapping. Yeah. There's there's Josh, and there's Jeff with his audio still on.
See, we have 2 people waiting to come in here, so I may as well admit them.
Jeff,
how you doing?
you got to get rid of your audio.
Ooh, sorry, buddy.
Yeah. There's Josh, and there's Jeff with his audio still on. See, we have 2 people waiting to come.
Just go to your browser and turn it off. Just kill it. Kill your browser.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
Oh boy.
Bingo.
Well, we can't get going till you. Okay, that took care of it. Did you see how you took care of it? How'd you do it?
I found it in the corner and I turned it off.
Okay. Well, go look for it there every time. You should turn it off before when you come on, when you sign in, you should turn your audio off.
Okay.
And just wait for me to come on, and you'll see me and you'll hear me.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Hello, Josh. How are you, Josh?
Good, how are you?
Yeah. Been quite a week, hasn't it?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah. You must kind of, because you're into the history of America. This must kind of be an interesting history-making event, isn't it? I mean,
for bad reasons, but it's
for absolutely horrible reasons.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad, but it's interesting because it's got to play out, and it needs to finish its process and everything. But we kind of need it in a way because we've really, we've sunk very low, and we need to sort of get some consequences to reset this. I mean, I'm not rooting for Trump to be guilty and jailed and all that because I don't like him, but I would like to see it happen so that we can get this precedent on the record that, all of our powerful politicians now from that point forward can understand if they pull this stuff, they are going to go, to jail, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's what we need because they've been pushing the envelope for years, many of them, and it's just creeping and creeping, and it's time to put a stop to it.
Yeah, but who's been pushing the envelope? It's been Trump.
Yeah, right.
We've never had a president who had this little respect for the office.
Yeah.
In history. and a guy would take advantage of it, and for his own advantage. You know, I mean, he wants to be president of the United States again, so maybe he can weasel out of this deal, you know, out of these charges.
And I think kind of what I was referring to was it was just also, we were also kind of pushing to this point where all the politicians were getting to, you know, because of Trump, we're getting to this thing where, like, no matter what someone in their party did, it must not be wrong because they were in their party. Like, gone were the days where, oh, he broke the law, sure, take him away and send his replacement.
You got a lot of guys like McCarthy who are sitting there yelling and screaming. First of all, they're going back to Hillary Clinton. Okay.
Yeah,
you know, and then you go. They sometimes they're even invoking Al Gore and the fact that he didn't just give up. Well, it was so close, you don't give up.
Well, I mean,
5 million votes isn't too close, you know.
I mean, but well, the Bush campaign didn't give up either. I mean, I mean, but in that case, everyone was just wanting the votes to be counted. No one was disputing the count; they just wanted them counted. I mean, I guess maybe there was some disputing of the count, so I got to word it right. But I mean, it just wasn't. No one was throwing out just craziness in there, like, oh, Bush was winning by tons and tons, and then all of a sudden, all these Ryder trucks just started backing up to the docks of the counting center, and then Gore was winning. I mean, no one was making up ridiculous stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, when was it the Republicans became total assholes? I mean, when was it that they went over the edge? I mean, I understand being the opposition party, and I understand fighting as the opposition party, and that's a healthy thing, okay? Right. But when did it become just so entrenched? And I mean, then they turn around. What other year would the Republicans have backed somebody like Donald Trump with all that he's got on him?
Probably never. I mean, I think when politically the country realigned in the early 1980s with the Reagan presidency and the rise of the religious right and other ultra conservative and liberal, think tanks and, things like that, where politics almost became also an industry, like a business.
Well, it went from being a trust to an industry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and that proliferated in the 80s under Reagan presidency. I'm not saying it was Reagan's fault. I'm saying that the apparatus that we have now came about during that time, and as it began and it's ramped up to the point that we're at now, where, like I said, and both parties can sort of be this way. I definitely think the Republicans are worse, but it's almost, it's just gotten to the point where no matter what takes place, that person's party, oh no, that's made up. They didn't do that. I mean, they will defend anything in the name of their politics. I mean, like I said, I don't understand what's wrong with saying this person is in our party, they have been found indicted, found guilty, shove them off stage right and send out their replacement.
Well, I mean, most of the time they would say we don't need somebody with this much baggage.
Right.
That why should we be strapped with this baggage?
Right. So, but like in that 80s sort of era, I just think that everything sort of became in that, everything was just totally about one side against the other with this vilification of the other side. If you elect the other side, they are just going to ruin planet Earth, and everything that will just be over. I mean, the Republicans would have said, if you elect a Democrat, it's going to be, Marxist, Leninist, communist, ABC, and the Democrats would have said if you elect a Republican, they're going to ruin everything with their ultra conservative. The government will just close up shop. It's done. It was like extreme.
Well, you know what I said though, and I always tell the story over and over and over again on election night, back in what was it, 2016? 2016. I woke Marjorie up, and I said, "Well, it's over," and she said, "Who won?" And I said, "Trump," and she went, "Oh my God!"
Well,
and my reaction was, give the guy a chance. I said, we don't know how he's going to try. He might surprise us. I said, and secondly, there's only so much damage you can do to this democracy till the next guy comes along, And I got to say, I was wrong. I was dead wrong.
I think maybe wrong on the personal side of Trump's actions. But I do think there is, still yet only so much damage. I mean, I guess I would try to argue on the positive side that these things were noticed and that they were called out, that he has been, and that I understood these things took place, but it would be a far different conversation if we were standing here and there were no charges of any kind, there were no indictments, and he was well on his way to a second nomination.
Right.
But we're not, so I guess I'm saying that, prosecutors, and it's not just a prosecution. I mean, it's several different ones in all different parts of the country. They're unconnected to each other. Different jurisdictions said, this person broke laws in my jurisdiction, and they're doing something about it. And, I think I heard the other day that over 1,000 people thus far have been charged with crimes committed at the Capitol on January 6th and are serving jail or prison time, not fines, probations. That are actually, they are incarcerated. Over 1,000 people are incarcerated for some period of time, some of them not too long, some of them longer than others, for their actions on January the 6th, which I think is positive. I mean, I think the punishment should be very harsh, but that's a personal opinion. That's not the law.
Well, shouldn't it be harshest on the ringleader?
Well, I would not disagree there,
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly think the people at the top of that owe their debt, and maybe
but
it's coming.
What I'm sick of are guys like McCarthy and so on who get up out there and they start saying, well, what about Hunter Biden?
Right.
And today they had Hunter Biden's partner went in front of the Congressional Committee. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, right. I know.
He went in front of the Congressional Committee, and of course they were hoping this is how they were going to nail Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And he said, at no time did Joe Biden ever involve himself in Hunter Biden's business.
No, he didn't.
At no time did he do anything else. The only time he ever called Hunter was to find out how he was doing, to make sure he was holding up on his sobriety and all of that. But that he was never involved with him in any of these business dealings.
Right.
And they must have felt like crap because he completely undermined their whole argument that, we've got to impeach Joe Biden for what went on with Hunter Biden.
Right.
Enough with this Hunter Biden stuff. It's an entirely different set of circumstances. To begin with,
and he did testify that his son, Hunter Biden, did try to get his father to interject. That he did trade on his name, that he did tell people that he could get influence.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would put his father on the phone, and he wouldn't even go anywhere near it.
Biden wouldn't go anywhere near the phone.
Right. That, he would start hinting around about, let's do some business, and Joe Biden would start talking about fishing or something,
Yeah.
And say, I gotta go, see you later, bye.
How's the weather?
Yeah.
Right. So Hunter is not a moral character, or at least he wasn't. Maybe he's reformed, I don't know. And there are plenty of people that would say, if if that were my kid, I'd throw him out, and that's a fair enough assessment. You can do that with your children if you choose, but fact is Joe Biden chose not to, and he has just as much right to that as you would.
Well, the fact that he chose not to speaks well of him, because he cared about his son, and he cared about his son's health, and he cared about all of that. So he would pick up the phone when Hunter would call, and I mean, Hunter's a pretty terrible, kind of egregious person for doing what he did, which could only get his father in trouble if his father didn't know what was going on, but I think he kind of sensed it. But what was amazing, this committee was ready to just, nail Joe Biden, and they couldn't. All this guy said were nice things about Joe Biden.
Yeah, I mean, and that guy's going to jail, and so he didn't get anything for his testimony. I mean, the Republicans are the ones that brought him up there, and now he is going to prison for like a year or a year and a half or something for unrelated stuff. So that's what I'm saying. That whole deal, there were a lot of people in that circle who were breaking laws and were criminals, or I mean, they were corrupt, but Joe Biden wasn't one of them. So, if you have something on Joe Biden, bring it out. But, they obviously don't. I mean, that deal was a mess. The thing that I don't understand is, we go from literally sometimes in the same couple of sentences from Joe Biden is so
everybody's frozen now.
Which way to walk off the stage, and he's just so stupid that he has to take naps because he's senile. And then the next sentence, he's also the mastermind of a international criminal crime family. Which one is it? I mean,
a little bit of both.
I mean, I'm just asking. I mean, is he senile Joe, or is he crime boss Joe?
Yeah.
It seems to me that
he's so senile,
both of
he's
those
smart.
things cannot be happening at one time.
Well, I'm getting a little tired of their whole attitude about Joe Biden and his age and his ability to do his job, because it is ageism to begin with, and secondly, in spite of the fact that he may stutter and he may falter occasionally when speaking, and he may seem somewhat doddering in nature, but that's more the stutter than anything else. The fact of the matter is, he is still running this country every day of the week. He's still doing his job, He's coming down from the bedrooms upstairs into the Oval Office, and he's doing what needs to be done. And evidence of that is that the economy is getting better, and that the job outlook is getting better, and that he's doing what he can do. And all these people who say, oh, it's been horrible under Joe Biden, no, it's really been horrible under the economy that Trump handed us. So many times we always blame the person who's currently in office for the things he's trying to fix up that the other administration completely faltered on.
And if you remember, that's the same thing that happened when Obama came into the office, too.
Yes. But Obama handled it. He got it done, but it took him
It was a different situation between Bush and Obama, but it was the same economic situation.
Yeah. And what happens is, a lot of times people say, oh, the Democrats just don't know how to handle the economy. The economy traditionally has always gone bad as soon as the last party has left office. And the fact is that when the last party was in office, they did all the things that manifested itself in the first couple of years of the president who follows him. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that stuff doesn't happen. It doesn't get fixed overnight either.
Right.
I mean, the economy is not in bad shape. I mean, GDP is up, inflation is coming down. I mean, look, as of yesterday yesterday evening at some point, look, the rate of return on my personal 401k investments for this year was up over 16%. maybe maybe the economy's terrible and I'm a really good investor.
Well, what I would say
Really
is
doubt that.
to everybody who has truck with Joe Biden, look at your 401k, see what it's doing today, and if
9 and
it's
13.
doing worse than it did last year, then okay.
Yeah, and look, and I'm not saying that it was bad under Trump or anything. I mean, it's not a. That's what I'm saying. Why does it have to be?
Oh, here I go.
How are you going to fix it?
Yeah.
I mean, none of that other stuff really matters.
By the way, to the people who are watching, I'm having a little bit of trouble tonight with the internet. It seems to be blanking out every now and then, but don't worry about it. It comes back. So.
So I mean, but economically, things are. I think they're better than decent. I think they're good.
Yeah.
I mean, I work for a large company. Sales are up. Business is very busy.
How
positive.
How about your 401ks, Brian? Up, right?
But like Josh is saying, I was stupid back then when Trump, I posted some stuff at Trump and then everybody came out of the woodwork. But, these guys are telling me, oh, Brian, when Biden's president, he's going to take away your cars. It's going to be all electric and all the gas cars are going to seize. And I'm like, where are you guys hearing this stuff from? It's like.
Yeah. Don't be morons. Hey, Scott, are you there? Scott's not there right now. Huh.
Yeah.
He was there for a second.
Yeah. No, he was there, and then he
He's just trying to get his video going, I think.
Okay.
So, I mean, the Biden team is at least doing a better job, in my opinion, of getting this information out there. I think they did not do a good job at it the first year and a half, 2 years. They seem to be doing better at it. And, for the Trump part, I mean, I'm sure he'll cruise to their nomination and all that. And I guess that's fine. If they want to run a fucking convicted felon, let them. I mean.
Yeah, but I don't want that kind of guy with his kind of morality as my president.
I don't either.
People who are voting for him don't care. They're diehard Trump people.
No, they don't. It's not that they don't care. It's that they are. And can I say this without fear of, I think, what do you call it? Of anybody disagreeing. His people are morons. I mean, come on. Anybody who would vote for somebody who has this many charges against him, and there's still, George hasn't come through yet, then it'll be 4 different cases against him.
But
Criminal cases.
They're loyal morons, though.
Yeah, but I mean,
they don't care they don't care. Like he said, right? Didn't he say that if I shot somebody at Times Square 5 feet away from somebody or something like that, he goes, I would still win the nomination.
He was absolutely correct. That's the only thing. That's the only thing he said that's right. Yeah. No, absolutely. He was absolutely right.
He knows that. So he said, yeah.
So, Josh, we had kind of a question or a thought the other night. We weren't sure whether if the president, and I didn't think so, but the president gets into office, he's elected, he's convicted, can he pardon himself? And I don't think that there is something in there that says that he cannot, but there's nothing in there that says he can.
Right. Yeah, there's
because nobody's ever done it before. Nobody's been that obnoxious to do something like that.
Yeah, there's no express language to forbid it, but there's also no express language.
And he would probably have to go through a lot of shit and a lot of storm to get it done.
There's also no express language to state that it's allowed.
Right.
I would say that he cannot, and I think that if it happened, it would be challenged.
Right.
It would probably end up, obviously, in the courts. It
would be a big storm, yeah.
I don't think the judicial philosophy of this court would accept it. They have had several checks on executive power even with the group that they have now in the last couple of years, this would be a mega one.
Yeah,
And
if anything,
I'm absolutely certain that the framers of the Constitution would not have agreed.
Yeah.
they didn't even think
I
something
have
like
no
this was
doubt
going
in my
to.
mind about that.
They wouldn't even think that this was going to ever come to fruition.
No, I don't think the framers of our Constitution ever felt this would happen somewhere down the line. Sure. You know?
Right.
I mean,
but here we are.
Yeah. They expect the American people would vote
But
for
he also has
people.
to get there, and that's kind of a what-if question.
Yeah, it's a long way off. But, I mean, I seriously have no doubt of that. And, I mean, look, if there is someone on TV on some channel next week saying that he thinks they would have approved of it and all that, that's fine. They can go ahead and say it, but they're not going to change my mind. And I've read just as many books on that deal as I guarantee as they have. I own all of them. I mean, I'm not changing my mind on whether or not a president can go break a law and then just say, well, I pardon myself.
Right. Well, that's what I heard on TV.
No
I heard someone say, "Oh, well, he'll get into office and he'll just pardon himself." And I'm going, I mean, you might want to look that one up because I don't think it's anywhere to look up.
I think he might try, but I don't know.
I don't.
Oh, sure, he'll try.
That he would try.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think I have a good to very good grasp of framers' mindsets, and I mean, look, Thomas Paine's famous line that in America the law is king, I believe is what the framers believed. They believed that we didn't need a king because in America the law was king. And he said that before the Constitutional Convention. He said that during the Revolution.
But
that's kind of in the same thought process as that he can think that he can declassify a document. He can think so. No, that doesn't happen.
I thought I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of that passes the legal test in court.
Right.
I mean, all of that stuff sounds great at a rally tonight in Alabama. And you can kick back on C-SPAN and have a Trump branded beer and all that if you want. And it but
say
that's
rah, rah.
Totally different. That's totally different than the courts.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
federal criminal courts.
I mean, I don't think that we ever thought that there were a lot of things we could complain about a president on. I mean, the fact he was doing a lousy job, or that he didn't know what he was doing, or that he was too conservative, or any one of a number of different things we could gripe about. But nobody was going to actually gripe about a guy being a crook. And Donald Trump is a dyed-in-the-wool crook. He learned how to be a crook from his dad in real estate. He learned how to be a crook when he finally had to deal with business in Manhattan. He's been a crook all of his life. And who did he have as his major lawyer? A mob lawyer, Roy Cohn.
Team of them.
He's a crook trying to be a king.
A couple of his lawyers are probably going to end up in jail.
Sure.
Well, one of them already has.
I mean, well, that's true, yes. But a couple more of them are probably going to join him.
Do you think
none of them are going to get paid?
Do you think unidentified conspirator number 1 has a good chance of going on to be tried?
Rudy.
Yeah. That's Rudy.
Yeah.
Rudy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and then
I'd love to see Sidney Powell right behind.
Well,
I heard this.
Let's look at a sickness here in America for a second and see what you think of it. And that sickness is that the more charges they throw against this guy, the higher his acceptance by the public. Now, how is that? And why is
crazy.
that? Huh? What'd you say?
Because in America...
Wait a minute, Scott was saying something. Scott?
Go ahead.
It's crazy that he gets more publicity the more he gets convicted.
Yeah. And more acceptance. His numbers go up. And the money he gets from his contributors goes up, in spite of the fact that money isn't going to advertising him as the next president of the United States. It's going to his defense team.
I thought that was illegal.
No, it isn't. It isn't right, Josh?
He can use the money any way he wants.
I believe so, yes. In fact, if there's any left...
If they've got some wording in there, that's probably right. I'm sure.
If there's any left over, you can hold on to it to do with it whatever you want to.
But if
that's after the campaign.
Yeah.
If the language basically says the funds are going to be used to operate the PAC and part of the operations cost is legal fees, I mean, that's.
Yeah, but legal fees, because you're in a criminal fighting a criminal complaint against you.
Not that I know of. I mean, but I'm definitely not the expert on that. But
all I'm saying is, what kind of country do we live in? If America loses its democracy, I'm blaming the people here in America for doing it.
Definitely be the people.
Democracy, folks, isn't something that you just accept. It's something you got to work at and fight for.
Well, but there's a large portion of this country that identifies themselves as victims. And Donald Trump identifies himself as a victim.
Well, I love his latest statements. He said this on more than one occasion, that I'm suffering for you. I'm going through this for you. And I kept thinking to myself, wasn't that Christ's whole routine? That he died for your sins.
He thinks he's Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
he is.
And didn't Reagan
Only
say
in Iowa.
Didn't Reagan say "Make America Great Again"? I mean, doesn't he steal everything from other
people?
people?
He stole that one. Yeah. Show us your whole face there, Scott. We only see your elbow in the picture.
Oh, I'm trying to do my hair. It's all messed up right now.
He's
Too many
outside
shots, your head going back. Too many shots from there.
That's right. He's outside a bar where internet is good in Iowa.
Hey, the internet is good out here in the bar in Iowa, in Solon, Iowa. Come on, look at this place. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, that looks like a parking lot.
What? Okay, there's a parking lot next to the Jack and Jill and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to have a place to park.
So let me ask you, Scott, how many cocktails? How many cocktails have you had tonight?
A lot.
It's obvious.
Too many.
A lot.
A lot.
I need to go.
I'm about number 17.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit too. Is that your house?
Okay.
Is that what is that porch you're on? Is that a house you're staying at?
No, this.
Well, see, you're breaking up on us. That's why I'm saying.
It's a bar.
If you went inside,
he's at a bar in Iowa.
Because if he were inside, he might get a better.
But be a lot more noise though from other drinkers.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
He signed on to Jack's show from that location last week or something like that.
I think it's better that he's frozen up and can't talk.
Well, now he's frozen, or he passed out. One or the other. I have no idea what that is. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens here, but it's just that. I heard some kind of interview this morning, and I know they're going to try to play this defense that everything that he did, this was all on the advice of his counsel, who are all charged.
Yeah.
I heard someone say that this lawyer that he had that was telling him all this stuff about the electors and all this. Someone called this guy a renowned constitutional scholar, and I'm just thinking, listen. I wrote a very large thesis on the Constitutional Convention, and I didn't cite this guy's work anywhere. He is not a renowned constitutional scholar. Richard Beeman is a constitutional scholar. Akil Amar is a constitutional scholar. Lawrence Tribe is a constitutional scholar. John Roberts is a constitutional scholar.
Josh Wheeler is a constitutional scholar.
No, he's not.
It's just, you can always find an attorney who can round about in a circle and then back up and down or whatever, sort of back you into any kind of theory that you want, So, he doesn't have a lot.
Let me ask Brian something here. Oh, here comes her nibs. There we go. Hi there, Adrian. How are you?
I see Charlie.
There you
go.
There we go.
Hi, Charlie.
How are you? Hi. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, show me nails. She
Anyway,
came in to her nails.
let me ask you. Oh.
Oh wow.
That was freaky.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're talking, baby.
Yeah.
Grown up talk. Go away.
Grown up
Hello.
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, I want to ask you. You know, you have 3 kids in your house.
Mhm.
You know, are they aware of what's going on?
No, even when the whole Trump and everything was going on, I asked them, are they teaching you any of this in school? Are they talking about anything? And they're not at all.
Really?
Wow.
They were at my school, my daughter's school.
You see,
Really?
I bet in Florida it's taught commonly how Trump's so great.
no, but I think that they would have done a really decent thing if they in schools would talk about this, but not be one-sided about it, but just say the process that's going on, what he's been charged of, but no prejudice in the actual teaching of it, but that it is a beautiful history, a beautiful thing to teach what's going on here.
Yeah, because I think there's this unique period of time that we're not going to, hopefully we don't see again. But yeah, and take advantage of this. Take advantage of this to be able to show this maybe with some history, but at that current time, because when else are you going to teach something like this?
Well, this is.
I used to tell her all the time, you're sitting through some of this history.
Yeah.
It's living history right now.
Yes.
No matter what's going on and who's doing it, whatever happens is going to be written in books
Yes,
later
Charlie.
on. And 50 years from now, you'll be able to say, "Oh, I knew about that when I was a kid."
Yes, Charlie.
Yeah, now Josh, correct me, but I don't think that my lawyer told me it was okay to do that is a valid defense in crime. If your lawyer told you it's okay to rob a bank, does that mean you can go rob a bank and you don't have to worry about going to jail?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
My lawyer said it was. My lawyer said it was okay. I could go rob that bank.
In fact, you're probably going to be considered to have been party in furtherance to a crime.
Accessory.
Probably be disbarred and then criminally charged with.
Well, here's the thing, though, that they're making a big deal out of this. That Trump didn't know that he was doing anything wrong, and this was only his opinion that the election was stolen. But it remained his opinion until January 6th, when every lawyer he had was telling him, "You didn't win. Okay, get used to it." So that's not a defense, is it? Is it a defense if I go out and I go and shoot somebody and then I go, I didn't know there was anything wrong with that?
I actually believe he deserved to be shot.
Yeah, I believe he deserved to be shot. Exactly.
Doesn't really have a defense, and again, I basically I really refuse to even really come on here and want to argue it that way. I do it just the way that I always would. I would say, fine, I concede your entire argument. He's absolutely corrupt, guilty, the whole whatever. Everything you say is true. But, like in Phil's case, if you were a police officer and you arrested 2 criminals and you put them both in the same room and you said, you're under arrest for this crime and you're under arrest for the same crime, or maybe even different crimes, and they both pointed at each other and said, I should be innocent because he's guilty, and the other guy said, I should be innocent because he's guilty, would we accept that? Would the police accept that?
I was mentioning last night that
the public accept that?
The one thing they're saying is that Trump isn't being treated like other people would be.
Well,
and I agree. He isn't being treated like other people would be, because if I did what he did, I'd be trying just working my ass off to get up the bail, that they handed me. And I'm sorry, he's getting away with a lot of things in this case. Show up if you want to, but otherwise you can show up by the internet. I mean, come on. He should not be treated any differently than you or I would be treated if we were charged with exactly the same thing.
True enough. Yeah, but it's what I'm saying is, if tomorrow I said you're absolutely right, Hunter and Joe are just the biggest crime family. You're right. I mean they're going away. Headed to the slammer. That has nothing to do with your client.
Right. Yeah, but Trump did what he did anyway.
Right. So I mean, that's why those arguments are just they're a waste. I mean, I just if that's the way that we're going to do it, then anyone in this country who gets a speeding ticket tomorrow can just go to court and tell the judge, well, all these other people got speeding tickets too. I mean,
isn't Trump kind of a crybaby?
Absolutely. I would classify him maybe as whine ass. I don't know. I mean, maybe not, but
I mean, all these people buy this. I mean, I'm doing this for you. I'm suffering for your sins or whatever. Come on.
I'm doing it for you.
Yeah. I mean, none of this would be happening if you hadn't done what you did, you little selfish prick.
Yeah. I call him a little bitch, but that might be anti-woman. So
Whiny.
I already did. Shoot, sorry.
Yeah. So I wonder what Ray's eating.
Ray?
Because he apparently is very proud of it. Apparently you're very proud of it because you're standing up there eating it,
Well, because I didn't want to be too close to the camera eating.
Oh, okay.
But we can still see you eating. Hopefully it's something good.
It's salad.
Right on.
It's salad with tomatoes.
Did you use hot sauce on it?
No. Not on my salad.
Not on
Not on my salad.
Not on your salad. Okay.
He'll try it on his oatmeal.
Yeah.
Last night, did you hear? I mean, Ray had this little kerfuffle with Tony.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. He said.
I don't know. I had no idea where that came from.
Yeah.
I thought Tony maybe snorted a little coffee instead of drinking it.
Well, you have his curtains, and then you also put a picture of the woman, the lady who turned the skeleton that turns around in the chair in Psycho, right?
Yeah, but I've had that for like 2 years, and I was sitting in front of it.
And he said, "What's that?" And you said, "That's your mother or something," and he took offense at that.
Because we had talked about it so many times, and he said he thought it was funny, and he wanted me to keep it up. He made a 180-degree turn, so I changed it.
All of a sudden, you're going, you think you're funny? You're no comedian. Well, no, he's not a comedian. He's an actor.
Yeah, and then he just starts trying to insult me. I didn't care about that part. I just felt like, okay, I'm sorry I'm insulting the memory of your mother. I didn't realize that it bothered you. You told me it didn't.
Yeah. What?
And my system's having issues, but I sort of feel the way Tony, but he handled it wrong. If it's been on there and he saw it and he knows, that's the my mom thing. I think he should have handled it better. Maybe like after the show, sent you a message and say, you know what, I don't feel comfortable with you having that anymore. It's still resonating, the death and all that stuff, and please take it off. Then I think it would have been handled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had offered told him I'd take it off many times. But
something has changed in Tony, because the time before that was last Thursday when Phil was on, and he wasn't acting like like Tony normally acts.
Oh.
I mean, it was to me, I found it strange. So.
Well, sometimes
I hope he's okay.
Maybe his mom's death is getting to him now. I mean, sometimes it's delayed.
Maybe.
I didn't want to insult him.
No, yeah, and
I just didn't see why he had to start trying to insult me like that over and over again. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think if it was hitting him like that, he could have handled it better. But but not to explode in front of everybody.
And we have a bunch of people here right now who are copacetic enough that, and last night that we
was
we
that
don't
last night's show?
Yeah, we don't get nasty with each other particularly. you know, and that was just, I don't know, somewhat uncalled for, but you know.
I took it down right away. I won't put it up there anymore.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, the joke is not so much, I think, that that's his mother, but that is the mother that turned around in the.
In Psycho.
Yeah. Well, right. That's all it was, because we were talking about Psycho when I made that thing, and that's why I had the birds on there.
Did you ever know? I was watching Psycho again.
I was just screwing around.
I was watching the end of Psycho the other night, which, by the way, has one of the worst last 10 minutes of any film, where the psychiatrist explains the whole plot of what happened, you know. But then they go in, and there is something that I noticed from the very years ago, and it's there if you look. When they go see him, you see him in the jail, in the cell against the white wall, and he's talking, and then he looks down at his hand, and there's a fly, and he says, "And I wouldn't even hurt a fly." You know, and it's his mother's voice, okay?
Yeah.
And then they go, and I wouldn't even hurt a fly. And then I think maybe there's one other line, I don't know. And then they do a dissolve from him to the car being pulled out of the river or lake.
Oh.
And just for a brief second, you see the mother's skeleton face. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I noticed.
Yeah. Next time you watch that, just look closely. It's like it's a brief second. You basically see her teeth more than anything else. But I thought that was brilliant. After 10 minutes of getting a lecture from a doctor on what happened.
Wasn't that around the time when they thought that subliminal messages could be put on in movies, like a little brief, a couple of frames of a hot dog or whatever, and you'd go eat? Want a hot dog?
Somebody used to claim that, and I always felt it was called subliminal advertising.
Yeah.
And that they would, if they showed you a subliminally just one frame, boop, of a hot dog, you'd get hungry.
Right.
I'm sorry, I never got hungry when they did that. They showed me some subliminal advertising, and I don't even get hungry if you're going to show me just here's a hot dog. Okay, well,
Boy, that's a busy town that Scott's in.
What? Yeah, it is really.
Hey,
look at all the traffic.
Ask him if he knows Alex Bennett.
and that's the only person in town that just walked by.
Right.
Hey, walked right by me.
Just turning off the lights.
In some cities, they grab your iPhone when they walk by you.
Hey,
Scott,
here's a car coming by.
Hey, Scott, you used to live out here, right?
What? Sir? What?
You used to live in the Bay Area, right?
No.
You used to live in the Bay Area.
No. Dallas, Plano, Texas.
Plano.
Oh, I thought you lived here for a while. Oh,
Listen to the accent.
God, no.
Listen to the accent. He's from Texas.
Yep.
No, I know, but I thought he was
I
here
have
for
no
a while.
accent.
Oh.
I'm from Iowa.
When actually,
Well, somebody else.
Jack Daniels accent right now.
Jack Daniels. Yeah.
when
What do you say, Jack Daniels?
when my
I say
wife,
you have a Jack Daniels accent.
when my ex-wife
No,
Ronnie,
it's a Hendrix tonic, gin and tonic.
Can I talk? It's my turn. When I lived in Texas with my wife Ronnie at the time, when we left Texas, she had an accent after we left. She got an accent, and it took her several years to get rid of it.
Yep.
Now,
Some people pick up accents really fast.
Well, no, it isn't that people pick up accents. Really? I'll tell you, I was even picking it up. I got rid of it faster. And the reason
But you had the British accent.
I had the British accent, but
Yeah.
but I did pick it up, and the reason it's so easy to talk in a Texas accent. It's a very relaxed way of speaking, and so you have a tendency to just go into it. I mean, to begin with a word like y'all. is much more effective than you all or all of you.
Is that the 7-Eleven down the street there, Scott?
No 7-Elevens in Solon, Texas.
Okay.
None.
Now, where are you exactly in Iowa?
Solon.
Solon?
It looks like Salon. It spelled like Salon, but Solon.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
And it's nice.
That sounds
It's
nice.
about 3,500 people. It's so cool. I love it.
Really? And why do you go there? Are there people there that you know?
Cheap drinks.
Or is the booze cheaper?
Well, the rum and tonics are about $7 a glass here, and they're about $13 a glass in Iowa City. So yeah, it's cheaper.
You're also from that town, right, Scott?
I'm sorry, what?
You're from that town, aren't you?
No, I'm from about 40 miles northwest up here.
Oh, okay.
In Iowa City?
Iowa City's south of here, about 8 miles, 9 miles.
Oh.
University of Iowa. It's a
your
cool
map
college town. A very nice college town. Yes.
All right.
By the way, Jeff, we haven't asked you how you are tonight because you haven't said a word.
I just said I said something about Iowa City, but that's
right.
Yes, sir. Well,
I've been.
I was going to talk to Jeff about my heart issues, but that's okay later.
About your
have
what?
heart issues?
You have heart issues?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, what do you mean? Tell us about it a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, I have a lot of pauses in my heart issue, and Jeff should know about that. I think. Jeff,
Go ahead.
Wow.
Go see your cardiologist. Have you done that?
Have you seen a cardiologist about this, Scott?
I'm going. When I get back to Texas, I'll see an electrophysiologist. I think cardiologist, something like that.
Yes.
Is this PAX or AFib or what? Where you're missing?
Sounds like AFib, right?
There's some guy running his car so loud right now down the street. It's just I looked it up on the internet. It's no big deal.
PAX.
But my heart.
I
miss about
arterial contractions.
No, I miss about every hour. I miss about 11 beats on my heart.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. Tony, are you there?
I don't think that's Tony.
I don't think it's Tony either. That's why I just put my face on the screen, and we'll remove this person.
No.
We'll remove.
It's not that guy again.
Oh, it's Phil Meyer on the toilet.
Did he start running something there? No.
Nothing.
No, I was joking.
No, I got it. Before he could be, But anyway.
I'll go around the backside of the bar.
All right.
Okay.
Are you using Wi-Fi there, or are you using the phone system?
Wi-Fi.
Oh, because you might lose it soon.
They probably don't have cellular in the town he's in.
We have cellular. It's not that bad.
But you have to crank it in order to get
it's like a small town with no police. It's awesome. No fucking cops in this town.
Let me go back to this. There we go. Okay, I put my face up there because we wanted to prevent that person from doing what. Here he comes again, Anthony Magno's.
I'm down the alley now.
iPod. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, folks, if I kept myself on screen there for a while, but I forgot to go back to you.
I just text Tony to ask him if he's trying to call in. So.
Yeah.
We didn't see anything, Alex, other than.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but then everybody kept seeing me, so that's the problem,
Man, I was having nightmares after that thing yesterday.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was quite awful, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you watched it 17 times after the show.
Well, yeah. I just had to assimilate myself to it so that it didn't bother me anymore. You know.
It's that story.
It's called exposure therapy.
Yep. Hold on a second.
I think we're about ready to see that with Scott. He's going down the alley to do what?
I don't know what I'm going to do.
That must be some great Wi-Fi, because it.
Yeah.
You haven't blanked out yet. What's Big
You see this? Can you see this
Big
car?
Grove.
Yeah.
Big Grove.
Yeah. That's
Big
my
Grove.
buddy. The Big Grove is the bar I go to.
Yeah.
And this guy lives down the street, in the alley from me.
Does somebody drive you home, by the way?
You walk.
I can walk home from here.
Oh,
dude.
really?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're
Yeah,
capable
somebody.
of? Are you sure you're capable of walking?
Yeah, somebody gonna walk you home?
Well, fuck you all.
Okay, Alex just got demonetized.
No, it doesn't matter.
Hey,
It doesn't matter.
Alex just lost 25 cents.
Let's see if I can get to my garage here with the Wi-Fi.
Oh wow.
Oh, you're actually on your way home.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can you see my garage?
I see a
Yes.
garage in front of
Yes.
you.
Oh, what an unusual garage.
It's moving.
Yeah.
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 Does
that-
the whole town have Wi-Fi?
Well, I mean, I'm within a range of the Big Grove Wi-Fi.
Oh.
Okay, I won't let you see my code to the garage, but it's so.
Okay, we're all gonna fly up there and steal your stuff. From
Oh
you.
yeah, steal my shit. Hey, there's my garage.
So you live next to a bar?
Oh yeah.
How convenient.
Oh.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
lovely.
really.
There's my car.
It's lovely.
Yep.
How
Get in
abs-
it and do some donuts. Tony says that was him trying to log on. He was just saying that he was just joking with Ray and he's fine. So
Oh, okay. Well, you see, I
It's
didn't.
all right, it's
he,
all right.
he should have picked up faster, because otherwise we just thought it
Yeah.
was some kind of prankster.
yeah, he says there's no porn. He's not naked. He's on the sofa though.
Oh, Tony not naked.
Yeah.
Don't let her know
Well,
that.
anyway, I'm about ready to put on the theme here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and start saying goodbye to all the fine people that have been with us tonight. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being here. We appreciate that. Josh, any last words about what's going on with Trump?
Keep watching, I guess.
Huh?
Just keep watching.
Yeah, and we'll see what
Lock
happens.
him
So
up.
sick of it.
Yeah, lock him up.
Lock him up. Yes.
Lock him up.
Oh, by the way, at his arraignment, there were not very many people outside protesting.
Like 3.
Why waste the gas?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate your call, as well as Brian's. I always appreciate Brian's as well as I appreciate Alan's. Why am I being redundant here? We hardly ever see Scott, so when we do see him,
Don't take off the shirt, Scott. Don't take off the shirt, please.
yeah, don't do that.
Don't give me any
please.
Show us your tits.
Hey, stop it. Stop it.
No, oh, jeez.
Charlie Wallace, thank you, and thank you to Ray. Everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. If you like citizen panels, there's going to be another one in just a couple of minutes right here at Gabnet with Jack Bishop. You can call him on Skype at Gabnet Live. I will be back again here on Monday for the pop-up show. It'll be on Facebook, and then we'll be back again on Wednesday at 10:30. Same time, same station, and life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. Okay? Bye-bye, everybody.